Here's the video notes on viruses. So human immunodeficiency virus is a common virus you'll hear about. Smallpox is a virus that you've hopefully not heard about, but it's one that we have come close to or have eradicated with vaccines. Chickenpox is a virus that we now have a vaccine for. When I was growing up, we didn't have a vaccine for. So when you get it when you're little, you're never going to get it again, hopefully. If you do get it again, it's because you got a different strain of it. So that would be terribly unfortunate. Cold sores are a virus. They're basically herpes of the mouth, so always make sure that you're very aware of, if you do get cold sores, that you're not sharing drinks or lip gloss or anything like that with people when you've got an active infection going on, because it's a very communicable disease. Warts are a virus, and the influenza is a virus. This is one that we will get hopefully vaccinated against every year with our flu shot. This guy mutates a lot and changes a lot, and so that's why we have to get flu shots every year, is because there's many different strains of the influenza virus. Viruses are trouble in a small package. They are an infectious agent made up of a core of nucleic acids and protein coat. They do not have a nucleus, membrane, or cellular organelles. Although they are not cells, viruses do have organized structural parts, so they have a little bit of organization. They are found on or in nearly every substance and environment on Earth. Viruses have the capability of infecting every life form, including plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. They are made up of two parts. They are made up of a nucleic acid inner core, so that's DNA or RNA, but not both. So if you're looking at the picture right here, that's the red, so that's our DNA or RNA. And I'll write that in here, DNA or RNA. And then you've got the protein coat, so that's our pink right here. There's our capsid. Sorry about my handwriting today on the video. And then sometimes they have a protein envelope, so that's our green. And that's definitely the structure of DNA. I would love for you to draw this structure in that box. These blue little dots are what the virus will use to attach to your cell membrane. Viruses also come in many other shapes. This is one that is very common in a lot of the diagrams and videos you'll see. If you've ever seen the movie Ebola, this is the virus shape that looks really similar to the movie Ebola, or the movie about Ebola, the movie Outbreak, I mean, and it's dealing with the virus that's similar to Ebola in terms of what it looks like. I think Contagion, which is the more recent video film about viruses, maybe also has the virus look like that. So for some reason in movies, this looks really cool. So reproduction, viruses cannot reproduce on their own. This is one of the biggest things that we argue as scientists as why viruses are not considered a living thing. They must take over a reproductive machinery of a host cell. So for us, that's going to be our body cells. If in HIV, that's an immune cell. With like the flu, that's going to be just a general body cell. So it's very hard to fight viruses, because when those viruses invade the host cell or our body cell, if we are to fight that virus, we're essentially killing our own cells. So it's really just hard to fight. Viruses attach themselves to a specific host cell and inject their DNA or RNA into the cell, and that genetic material can follow two different cycles to reproduce and cause infection. It can reproduce via the lytic cycle, and it can reproduce via the lysogenic cycle. So the lytic life cycle, viruses begin to replicate immediately. Viral DNA commands the host cell to make new viruses. When the new viruses are replicated, the cell lyses, which means it breaks apart and it releases the extra virus parts, and it basically kills the host cell, and this is where our disease is caused. And so one virus caused this. This guy fills up with viral parts, it assembles that virus, and then it'll lyse, it'll break, and all of these new guys are able to go out and infect new cells. So they're ready to infect new host cells. So that's why viruses also spread very fast. Here's a good diagram of a lytic cycle. So that cell absorbs the viral DNA here, so that's our example of that virus DNA getting injected into the host cell. The replication happens here where it's creating that, and then that assembles and it releases into the body. A bacteria that, or a virus that infects a bacteria this is probably important to write down. A virus that infects a bacteria is called a bacteriophage. That will help you later on, hint hint. Okay, so a virus that infects a bacteria is called a bacteriophage. So the lysogenic cycle, the virus remains relatively inactive and does not immediately kill the host cell. Viral DNA inserts itself into the host's chromosomes. The host cell then divides, replicating viral DNA along with its own. So again, now you've got viral DNA in your own DNA, and that makes it difficult to fight and difficult to eradicate from your body. Some viruses remain in this cycle indefinitely, and it causes chronic disorders. The lysogenic cycle, again, most viruses here with the lysogenic cycle will enter the lytic cycle, so that's that faster cycle. Some type of environmental stimulus allows that viral DNA to separate from the host chromosomes and start the lytic cycle. So for example, cold sores, a lot of times that environmental stimulus is going to be stress. I see a lot of people under stress exhibit cold sores, so that stress is causing that DNA to enter into that lytic cycle. Lysogenic cycle diagram here, so we've got our virus inserting its DNA into in this case, this is just general loop of DNA here, so maybe this is a bacteria cell, so we would call this a bacteriophage. So here's our viral DNA, that cell replicates, that viral DNA goes with it. We have an environmental stressor that causes that viral DNA to start making parts of the virus, and that assembles and lyses the cell. So it's a little bit maybe more hidden in the background type of a viral reproduction, and it can come and go. Viruses are hard to classify because they're very diverse. They mutate very quickly, which is another reason why it's very difficult to fight them. And diseases may have thousands of different strains, which is why your flu shot will have, you need a flu shot every year, and then also why your flu shot will actually include many different strains and preparations of strains against what the CDC thinks that most common flu strain is out there. So as a result, several different ways of classification have developed: shape, host, and function. So those are the three ways that viruses are classified. So what are vaccines? Vaccines are a weakened form of a disease. So it's a killed form of the disease or a similar but less virulent strain. So virulent just means like how it, like the disease causing effect. With vaccines, you get few or no symptoms of the disease. For me, when I get the flu shot, I sometimes feel like I get flu-like symptoms, but basically what's happening is that's my immune system, my B cells or my white blood cells, recognizing that virus from the vaccine and starting to make antibodies against it. So I maybe just have a slightly more sensitive immune response to that vaccine. But it means it's working, which is great. So while the antibodies eliminate the virus, the B cells clone themselves and remain in your immune system. So this is also why when I was little, I only got the chickenpox once, because I wasn't vaccinated against it, but my body made and eliminated the virus, so it made antibodies against it, and I still have those B cells ready and available to be able to fight that virus if it ever shows up. So when the real disease invades your body, your immune system now is able to eliminate it immediately. So viruses overview, they're an infectious agent made up of a core of a nucleic acid and a protein coat. They cannot grow or replicate on their own. It requires a host cell. They have two life cycles, lytic and lysogenic. Certain types of viruses can be eliminated through the use of vaccines. And we have eliminated a lot of the really bad viruses. Unfortunately, some of the viruses are coming back because people are not vaccinating in a timely manner. So, which characteristics of living things do viruses share, and which do they not share? So I want you to kind of think about what they share and what they don't share. So viruses contain nucleic acid and proteins. They're kind of organized, and they change over time. So they mutate a little bit, and they adapt, so that's maybe a little bit of heredity. But I don't think that they cannot grow or replicate. So, the grow and replicate, I would say both counts for growth and development and also for reproduction. And they also have no metabolism, and I think that the non-living factors definitely outweigh the living factors. And so I always find it entertaining when we talk about killing viruses. I don't think that you can kill something that's not alive, but we try to prevent the spread of viruses with vaccines and also with making sure that we're keeping surfaces clean, etc. All right, those are your virus notes.